You've tried everything to motivate your team. Inspirational speeches, team incentives, pep talks, and nothing changed. That's because motivation doesn't work. Not because you're doing it wrong, but for two reasons you've probably never heard. Reason one, you're speaking to a dysregulated nervous system, and motivation literally cannot get through. Reason two, you're motivating people against their intrinsic drivers, not through them. Every person on your team is driven by something different. One is driven by achievement and results, another might be driven by connection and being heard, and another by structure and clarity. And when you use the same motivational language for all of them, you're speaking Spanish to someone who speaks German. I'm Melanie, a brain-based leadership coach, and in my work with leadership teams, I've often experienced this firsthand. The harder you push for motivation, the more the nervous system pushes back. And even when it doesn't, the message lands wrong because it doesn't match the intrinsic driver. Now let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah led a team of 12 high performers and she was kind of frustrated. She told me, Melanie, I've done every motivation framework, recognition programs, OKRs, retreats, and my team still feels flat. Sarah is driven by achievement, results, hitting the goal, moving fast. Her number two on the team, let's call him Tom, is driven by connection, being heard, feeling valued, belonging. And Sarah was motivating the entire team with achievement language. Let's hit the target. Come on, we can push harder. We can deliver this week. And for Tom, that language didn't feel inspiring. It felt like pressure. Same message, two different nervous system responses because the driver wasn't matched. Here's what's happening inside your team's brain. Your team's brains are constantly answering one silent question, not should I be motivated, but is it safe to engage? And this is what I call the regulation threshold. Below that line, the brain is in protection mode, conserving energy, scanning for danger, and motivational language bounces off like rain on a raincoat. But above that line, dopamine flows, creativity activates, and motivation becomes a natural byproduct. But here's the part most leaders miss. Even when the nervous system is regulated, each person needs to be engaged through their intrinsic driver. Regulation opens the door. The driver determines what walks through it. So if you're curious about the methodology I use to identify these drivers, check the video description below. In mountaineering, we see this very clearly on the rope. When conditions deteriorate at altitude, you can feel the tension travel through the rope before anyone says a word. If the lead climber is rushed and anxious, every person on that rope tightens up. Their breathing changes, their focus narrows. You don't fix that by shouting, "Come on, push harder." You fix it by the lead climber regulating first, steadying their breathing, slowing their pace, and within 60 to 90 seconds, that regulated state transmits through the rope. And this is called co-regulation. But here's what I also know from the rope. Each person on that team is driven by something different. One is focused more on the summit, one is focused on the group safety, one is focused on the route's beauty. Same mountain, same conditions, different drivers. A regulated leader doesn't just calm the rope. A regulated leader can then speak to each driver in a language that person can actually receive. And that's the combination that changes teams. Regulation first, then match the driver. So here are 3 rules to cross the regulation threshold and speak to what actually drives your people. Rule 1, regulate yourself first. Before your next team meeting, take 60 seconds. Breathe, settle your shoulders, slow your heart rate. Your regulated state is the first signal that tells your team's brain it's safe to engage. Rule 2, read the room's nervous system. Not the agenda first, not the slides, the nervous system in the room. Who's tense? Who's checked out? What's the energy? You can only shift what you notice. Rule 3, Match the driver, not the message. Once the room is regulated, stop using one-size-fits-all motivation. The person driven by achievement needs to hear, for example, the target and the timeline. The person driven by connection needs to feel heard first. The person driven by structure needs to see the plan. So, same goal, different doorways into motivation. Sarah tried this. Not the new incentive program, not the motivational speech, 60 seconds of regulation before each meeting. Reading the room instead of the agenda and matching her language to each driver. So with Tom, she stopped leading with targets. She started by asking for his perspective first. And within 2 weeks, Tom started speaking up more in meetings, and his ideas, great ideas, surfaced. His energy shifted, and not because Sarah motivated him harder, because she regulated the room and then spoke through his driver, not hers. Here's your drill for this week. Before your next team meeting, do the 60-second arrival. Then, in the meeting, slow your pace by 10%. And for one team member, the one who seems least responsive to your usual motivation leadership style, try engaging them differently. Ask what they value most and how the team works. And their answer will tell you their driver. And if you want to identify all the drivers on your team systematically in a very clear overview, check the description for the methodology I use. I'm Melanie. If this changed how you think about motivation, subscribe to Leadership Coaching Outdoors. Understand the brain, lead your team, come outside. See you next time.